that draft just goes against what TD does. Oh, we actually are in draft after all. So, uh, yeah, same bands as ever. The Fiora, the Thresh, the Shin. We are going very quickly on these bands.
Yep.
Uh, and Rev bans the Nautilus to cause so many issues for them so far. I think that's a good ban.
Yep. The
Uh,
Acel's at gone, which makes sense after the
Once again,
last
yep.
game.
And the Lilia, good bans all around. Although, honestly, if I'm TD Dusk, I might let the Fiora through. But they're locking in the Maokai. Do you know if that's going to go jungle, top, or support, or even just a flex?
I would imagine that it's flex.
Yeah,
I
first pick they can
I
always
once
flex
had
it.
a teammate who was very fond of Maokai mid, so who knows where it goes.
Who was that? I don't know that I've
That's
played with the
before
Maokai
your
before.
time. His name was Mustard on My Feet.
I wish I hadn't asked because then I wouldn't have had to hear that username.
Yep.
Anyway, we got the Renata Caitlyn bot lane back in for Rev. I think that was huge from last game. When I talk about draft difference, not just like difference like, oh, this team beat that team in draft. I think difference in game 2 versus game 1 was that Rev drafted something that had a lot of early prio. But
I
TV will counter with the Sivir, which has, again, a lot of pushing.
I really like this. I like the fact that TD is not running back the Jinx.
Yeah, I like this
Interesting
for both
game
teams so
that
far.
neither team is picking the Jinx because both of these AD carries do like it.
Yeah, I think both have shown,
Okay,
though,
so that's
that they can be
almost
countered if you're ready
certainly,
for
I
it.
would imagine, a Maokai support, given what has happened.
Yeah, well, we know it's an Ornn top, despite what some were hoping earlier in the game 1 draft. And there's the set. There's the set. That's a real good pick that I like. Spence Matt on.
Yep.
I think he's going to be able to pilot that a lot more comfortably than the Jax. I know the set is much more a comfort pick for him. He's played it into Ornns before in pivotal playoff matches and done well. Uh, as Jarvan and Victor banned out by
I
each team.
imagine that the next ban for TD Dusk is going to be Azir.
It
If
wouldn't
it's
be a
not,
bad
I'd be
choice
surprised.
after. I'm not sure anything would. I'm not sure anything surprises me in drafts in these
I just
leagues,
don't know
but
what you would ban. As much as like I know it's tempting, I don't want to see Fiddlesticks here.
Fiddlesticks banned or taken.
Taken. I think you need Zac. I think
Oh,
you
there's
there's
the
the
Zac. I
Zac
think
ban.
that actually is the even better band of the Azir
Yeah, you're
because the
probably
Zac
right.
was. I don't know if I could do this draft for Rev. I might have grabbed the Zac earlier on. I would have got my got Renata
I think
Zac
I would have
because
gone.
Renata.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
But the Caitlyn was a very good pick. I think these are all good picks for Rev, especially all these
What do
particular
you
players.
pick
These are all good cover
jungle
picks for
here
them.
is the question. Because this is
I,
the jungle pick.
yeah, I think you
Sejuani.
need a tank. You need a tank.
I like that.
Yeah, that's. I wasn't sure if you played Sejuani or not, but that if you do play Sejuani, it's almost a no-brainer here to get a
I
combination
really
tank
like
and
that.
engage.
I would imagine that TD Dusk is picking jungle here. Because
Yeah,
I
unless
believe
they're.
that this is a Maokai support.
Let me pull up their.
I don't know.
Let me see if I can pull up their OP.
I think Vesuvius you put
Shyvana.
I don't like it, but I get it. I like that much better.
Yeah, if it's. Oh, they're taking a Fiddlesticks themselves.
I like that. I really like the Fiddlesticks with TD Dusk's team.
Oh yeah, Fiddlesticks on top of Ornn Maokai.
Or
Oh, that is
Maokai,
kind of
yeah.
gross.
This is
That's a
really
lot of
gross. This
CC
is
setting up for
really
just Sivers
gross. I
there.
really like it.
Yeah, you've got combination of press our comp plus protect the Sivir comp.
What do I want to see from?
That's going to be a Kled mid for Pando. That's a favorite pick of his. One of the few he actually plays consistently. Narwhal says, "Oh no" in chat, and he's a friend of Pando, so I assume that means he's not a fan of the Kled pick.
I mean, I just I'm trying to think of how to say this. I think it's great. I think Pando plays Kled incredibly well
Yeah,
because it really fits with what he wants to do. He really wants to shove the lane. He really wants to do things.
and that's going to be answered with a Mordekaiser mid. We got melee versus melee
And
mid.
TD
Is,
Dusk
is
used the
Kled considered melee?
Mordekaiser incredibly effectively against the Fiddlesticks of RPM in Game 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a little bit very standard top lanes, jungles, and bot lanes. and then some weirdness mid. So this will be a fun game, I think. The last time we saw,
If
uh,
this gets really interesting because so much of this is it's like you have so much is on J-Rend in this game. Like J-Rend is probably the most important player to figure out how this goes. If J-Rend plays like he did in game 1, I don't think RPM has a chance because they're not going to be able to get through all of this in order to get onto the Sivir. But if J-Rend is behind and J-Rend isn't dishing out the damage, or RPM has access to Sivir, like they're just dumping an Ornn on his face with the set ult, this
or
is going to
if
be a really
the hostile
hard
takeover
game.
catches him again. The
Yeah,
hostile takeover has been huge for Revolution.
right. It's there is not a huge amount of sustained damage over the course of a long fight from TD Dusk outside of that Sivir. So they've drafted themselves.
Absolutely.
I think this is a great thing though because you're playing to Pando's strengths. You're allowing him to be able to shove and roam. You're allowing him to be able to push the tempo of the game, which is something that you really saw in Game 1 with the Tristana. I just the way that it all fits together, I feel, is not exactly the greatest. I don't think the Kled fits super well with the rest of the team. I think Kled fits super well with what TD Dusk does, though.
Yes. To me, it's an interesting draft because there's not a whole lot of damage on either side. Both teams are very beefy. I think this could be a very good game for Lurkazor. The last time we saw him, Mordekaiser. The last time we saw him pilot this Mordekaiser in comp was against Event Horizon back in week 2,
Mm-hmm.
where Rev did end up losing that game because I think they went for a Baron a little too early or something, or overcommitted onto it. But he got up to like a 5-0-1 lead early in the game or something on that Mordekaiser. I think if you do that in this kind of game, that's something where you could really steamroll because this Mordekaiser is very well designed to, cancel out one of these big engages and then just keep going if somebody catches the Sivir and just cut through all these tanks.
I agree.
But it will be interesting. It might just come down to which ADC stays alive longer, again, just because of how beefy both comps are.
If either ADC dies, this changes the game. I think that there's a little more damage to move through the beef from the RPM side. I think Set chews through tanks pretty well, as does Mordekaiser.
Mm-hmm. Should be Kraken Slayer builds for both ADCs.
Almost certainly.
So if you had to pick one draft, I wouldn't say to play, but say to coach with one of these, to be cheering for one of these teams with these players and the way they
I'll be
play,
honest.
who would
You
you
know
pick?
me. Both of these drafts drive me insane.
Anything non-typical drives you insane, which is why I'm asking. It's fun to torment you with these things.
It's for me and my general rules of how IBS drafting should go. I think RPM's draft I like a little better. I think you have more options. You're not as locked into one basket. I think that a lot of I think on paper, if we remove the IBS context, I like the TD Dusk draft a little better. But that is assuming that people are playing perfectly. So much of this rests on Sivir and J-Rend, and I think J-Rend is capable of doing something there. I am not a big fan of all your eggs in one basket kind of drafting in IBS.
Mm-hmm. To me, the last thing I want to point out about this draft before we head to intermission for the spectator delay is looking at the top lane. Both these last couple of games, King Vivi has been someone that's consistently been able to put up huge leads in lane, even though Rev eventually was able to collapse down at him when he was trying to do the split push on Alawi. Do you think it's a mistake to put a player that is a really good player and has laning advantage on Ornn duty?
Yeah, I mean he played Ornn and did incredibly well with it in game 1. You've already seen this guy on Ornn, and I think he plays a great Ornn. I think he does really well in getting himself his levels, getting ahead and getting his items, and then being able to rotate into the fights and providing a lot of big presence. It was an issue that I had with the way that he was playing his Alawi. He was able to get a huge lead, but he really wasn't accomplishing a lot in fights, and he was overextending and getting picked off. So I think that the way that he plays Ornn, I think that's going to work a lot better. But I do think that this matchup, from my experience, because I was a bad top laner, I think this match is set is Set favored from what I remember.
On paper, it is because Set has that kind of some percent health damage. Just once you get past those first few levels of Warren Power Spike, Set is able to kind of run him down and bully him a little bit. And it's not quite a kill lane like a Fiora is. It's a good kind of happy medium between that and a utility tank.
I cannot
but
spectate, it seems.
we'll figure it out. In any case, it's time to go to intermission, and we'll hop back in the game in a couple minutes to kick things off. What do you mean you can't spectate? We're on mute. You're good.
Normally, or at least in the past several games, I've been able to like right-click on Dan and that spectate game button, and I can just click that, and it's fine. This time around, I can't spectate.
Wait and see when it goes in game, and then
I'm gonna restart my client in the meantime.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I'll pause on 15 as usual. Then I'm gonna throw on some music. So
okay. I know what it is. There was a micro patch. I fixed it. The restart fixed it.
Sorry, were you talking there?
Yep, the restart fixed it. There was a micro patch.
Oh, cool. So I'm gonna pause on 15, then make sure I've got my UI set up properly before we start.
All right.
Just wait for me to get my OBS ready. Okay, red is the right side. Okay, I'm going to transition us and start mics. And resume in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to this final Game 3, the pivotal match of this series between Rev and TD Dusk.
Yes, this is a series.
It's a best of 3 series, so the winner of this game not only takes a series, but also takes the potential playoff spot, as Rex will start the damage with a little bit of a sapling onto Dean, which will be annoying, but it's just level 1, so not too much is going to happen. Chat votes for RPM 2-0. A whole lot of votes in this chat, but chat is unanimous. They think RPM is going to win.
3 melees versus 3 melees in both teams, so that's interesting.
I think it is, especially when one team has a Sejuani and a Mordekaiser.
Yeah.
And a Renata. Those are all champions who do very well into other melees.
Yeah, so the melees, yeah, it's interesting. Melee mid versus melee mid is not something that we terribly see super often in IBS.
Okay, we have 1 vote for Dusk. We're up to 2-1 voting for RPM versus TD.
Excellent. We can now say that we have equal representation, right?
Close enough.
It's within the statistic, the standard deviation, right?
Not really, but we'll go with that.
I just
Lurka and Pan trading early level 1 here. As are Spence and Vivi. Do you understand how Cled's kit works? Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't.
Sort of.
I think what I'm going to be looking for here in top lane is how Spence Matt plays around. Oh, that's a good trade there.
Yep.
Good catch with the how Spence Matt plays around the orange W's, because those were getting him a lot last time, was the W and the pop from it. I think he was kind of disrespecting the damage. Uh, welcome to chat, Trash Man. Who let Vesuvius play fiddle? I don't know. Whoever the TD coach is. I don't know if Toxin directly coaches the team. Oh, that's a lot of damage going out.
And then one of the interesting things about this is that the set regen outdoes this. So set will out-sustain the Ornn early on here.
Oh, yeah. See, one thing I figured out shortly after I recently role swapped to mid is some players will play set mid.
So that right there, if you look at it, what happened, they're right there in the mid. So Kled has this little dash.
So threw out a little grappling hook.
Yeah, the grappling hook is his Q, and that's his main ability. And then he has a bunch of other ways to stay on top of you once that's there. His E is on, he is on Skarl, is 4 attacks in really, really quick succession. So he synergizes really well with stuff like Tiamat and those sort of items.
I see. So one thing to notice again in that top lane is Spinsmat keeping up with CS this time. That was a really big issue in the last couple games, but not so much in this one. And now Spinsmat has the early potential freeze here. Whale's going in on a gank. Vivi forced to flash away. Or else I think he could have been in trouble. But now Vesuvius is...
I'm so glad that Wales is turning around. They win this.
Yes, I think they do. Oh, Spinsmat with a huge catch onto... That's the first blood over to Wales. And now Rev has an early lead for the first time in this series. Oh, and they get the stun. Wales brought so... Oh! But it's going to be a double kill for Matt, I think, if he can catch up to Vesuvius. Vesuvius running for the bush, but I don't think it'll save him. Little ring around the alcove. He is eventually going to be caught
and die.
In theory.
Yeah.
There he goes. Then. Okay. Very delayed double kill-ish for Spinsmat. So that's big for Red. This is the first time they've had early lead all season.
One of the interesting things, I don't really know how this matchup goes, particularly not in mid lane for Mordekaiser versus Kled, but anything that wants to get into the range of a Juggernaut is always weird to me. So like, Kled wants to get into the range of the
small squishies.
Yeah. Well,
that's usually what he's used for in mid lane, right? Is jumping onto those mages that don't want you in their face.
Exactly. But into the Mordekaiser wants you to be in his face.
Right, that's what I was saying about these whole comps. Is Mordekaiser wants to be jumped on by Kled, Maokai, even Fiddle.
And Mordekaiser.
And now Rex will do the jumping onto Denobi. Caitlyn does not want you to be in her face.
This was a constant issue in the last games. Yes. Was that Dan was very, very
good catch back from Dean though. Both ADCs brought low. Both supports still pretty close to full. Oh, an interesting Dan going with the Cole start. Oh, and here's Wales looking on. I think the TD bot lane is out, but I don't know. At least we'll force them to use the spell shield. It's not much, but Lurka has 6 and Pandorum doesn't, and Pandorum is dragged into the Death Realm, but is able to just run away to tower. So a little bit of a wasted mortal there.
But still, up 15 CS.
Oh, wow. That is a big CS lead. CS is even bot lane.
And Mordekaiser scales better than Kled. Kled really, especially in the mid lane, Kled really is reliant upon that snowballing.
I mean, his ultimate literally turns Kled into a giant rolling snowball, so...
Well, then we need to have a new Kled skin come out.
Oh, that's actually a good idea.
Where his ult is literally a snowball.
Or would that I feel like that would be terrible for like game visibility.
It will never happen for clarity, but
it's no Trucker Ornn.
Yes.
I don't know why they haven't made that one yet, but I'll let Flowers give the argument for that one. TD again trying to really play with pressure in this bot lane, but Caitlyn is someone that I think is really good at that because even if you are able to push, she just has the range to farm safely.
Yep.
And she's a lot harder to poke onto. I mean, if anyone's going to push into a Caitlyn, it's going to be a Sivir with Maokai. But
and that's fine as long as Sivir scales better than the Caitlyn, but at the same time, it's also
absolutely.
This is gonna. It's not like a 6
item. Sivir is caught by, but Rex goes in for the peel, and now Rex is in a dangerous spot as Denobi can just fire away safely onto.
There's that Ricochet doing work though.
yeah, Jaren is able to trade back into Dean, so it ends up being a pretty even trade all around. TD gonna get pretty close to a shove. I don't think Rev will be able to freeze this. Gold is all around even for both teams.
So,
Vivi with a small lead up top.
note here. Okay, so Lurka did reset and get that leeching leer.
Okay, he's going for the
He's going
Riftmaker build.
which I think is the right call in this
Yeah.
particular game.
That's a yeah. I think you need the kind of damage-oriented Mordekaiser here because the rest of your team is very beefy.
Yep. And also just the true damage from the Riftmaker plus the sustain is just fantastic into both.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Into a beefy team that doesn't have a lot of
dragon
burst.
go. Do not fight this dragon. I know you guys want to. Just let the dragon go. You're not
Okay,
in the
Mordekaiser
position
up
to
to 18
contest it.
CS now.
You don't have your biggest tools, which is the Renata, the
Yeah, so Rev is just kind of letting it go.
Lurker
Lurker
does
needs
need to be careful
of the
here.
gank.
He's in prime gank territory.
TD isn't going for it though, so Rev is going to be safe now. Rev up 300 CS, using the opportunity of not going for that Drake to just sit back and farm for a bit. But teams are effectively even right now. And I think Rev, again, I don't know. I might say TD outscales the team because it's hard for me to overlook Sivir plus Ornn. But I think maybe in terms of play style, you know, Rev might... I don't know. So I think scaling does favor TD. And now Rev's in trouble as that Maokai ult comes out. But Wales is here, and a huge hostile takeover by Dean. Vesuvius jumps in.
Vesuvius
and gets
just
a
turned that,
huge
though,
ulti
so
there.
much,
Oh,
though.
he did. But now Wales will be looking for the cleanup kill onto Vesuvius.
Nope. You can't safely
will he?
commit to it. You can't do it. You're gonna die. You're gonna die for this.
Yeah. Or will he?
He will.
He gets out. Oh, that's a bummer. But
I don't
Lurker
like all these flashes.
I think he's gonna get that kill though.
Yep, he's gonna get that one. He's not gonna get this one.
Yeah, not
And
with
you
the
died
spell
for
shield.
it.
Yeah, that feels bad. Just overcommitting.
We talked about this in game one. Like,
Overcommitting.
you're overcommitting, trying to get more than you did. Like, you got something really good there, and you just kind of gave it away. Incredibly well played by Vesuvius, though.
Yes. If he's not there for that, then it's a huge win for Rev. But those lane ganks are very lethal this level because nobody does them in solo queue, and so you're just not ready for them in comp. I think we've all fallen victim to those a few times by good junglers. Dean will take some vision in this bot river.
I don't
Rev,
know
I think, is doing
about the mercs on Mordekaiser. I would have gone tabbies here.
I think he wants the tenacity more than the MR.
Yeah.
The boots are merc boots are you get them for the tenacity and say, oh hey, MR might be nice.
But
as opposed
this right
to
here is what I
vice
was
versa.
like. You're just
Yeah, anytime Pandorum jumps onto Lurk on the Mordekaiser, Mordekaiser I think
the
wins
only
that by
window
default.
where you can run in like that is in a situation where both the E and the Q.
Oh, and now he's
are
knocked
down.
off a Snarl, and Lurker pops the ultimate. Pandorum is
Just
under tower again, so he
Too
can't.
close to
get
tower.
that
That's the
kill.
one issue with in a lot of ways the one issue with Mordekaiser in the mid lane, and
Yeah.
he might be dead.
Now
here.
Rex is here.
He's dead. He's collapsed.
Oh yeah,
Dead.
Vesuvius is here for the backup, and now Lurker's going to go down. And Mordekaiser does not feel as good into this comp from behind.
No. No, he's not super behind. The fact that he's up 25 CS kind
That
of
does
like
help.
gives him a little bit of a failsafe. Like, he's not behind that, but it's still, you need to watch this. This is the kind of stuff that will really wreck this game.
A lot of teams, especially a lot of very good players, are so used to being ahead they don't know how to play. Oh, here comes Vesuvius again. Catches Matt on the fear. Matt uses ulti to get out. Has the W's
No,
shields.
he's not. Nice flash.
Yeah, he's fine. Very well played by Matt to get out alive there. And TD committed a lot. Matt had to use a lot to get away from it, but it's everything off of one player versus most often 2 players. So.
I would rather have players greed in this way and be willing to pull it back rather than having to teach players how to move forward in the first place. Does that make sense?
Is that a subtweet at me?
No.
I'm kidding.
It's more at me than anything, because I used to be one of those players that would never fight ever.
The speed witch. And now Pandorum going in again onto Lurka, but
Very
Lurka,
well
this is a
played
little
by
more...
Pandorum.
Yeah, that was. This is, in theory, a better spot for Lurka geographically, but he was lower health, so wasn't able to take that fight as well. At the end of that play, though, top, Vivi stayed around a little too long. Whale's ultimate will miss, and Rex's ultimate is there for the peel, so it's just 1 for 1 of those ultis.
And Pandorum's rotating in.
Pandorum is here on the Kled. Rex goes in, it's just onto Dean on the Renata, and who still has her ulti, but it will not catch the Sivir. Pandorum gets the kill, knocked off of Skarl. It's a double kill, but here's Lurka potentially for cleanup. Denobi is still going in. They think they win this. Do they? I don't think they do. Not with
Vesuvius is here, and this is just kind of doomed.
Even in his ulti, he can't kill Sivir.
Yep.
That's going to be a problem for Red. They're down to...
I think, honestly, I think that's game over. Like, I know we're
It's about a
13
2K
minutes
gold
in the
deficit.
game, but I think that's you have a really hard time to come back with this.
Yeah. I think scaling is really heavily in TD's favor the more I see it. So.
Yep. With the Sivir, and the Sivir already being ahead, like the fact that like you relied on the being equal to make this work, and being able to out attrition and abuse the fact that the damage overall across the team of TD is not you have so little sustained damage. Like all your sustained damage is coming from the
Mordekaiser,
right?
It's our other team.
If you can't chew through anybody with the Mordekaiser and the Caitlyn, you're just kind of screwed.
So this is an interesting build by Pandorum. The Serpent's Fang on the Kled, which normally you think of as an assassin item, but it does have anti-shield, whereas several of Rev's champs rely heavily on those big shields.
It's a very good item in this team.
Yeah, I think he's designing that. He wants to go kill this Mordekaiser again, and Wales wants to kill this
It
Ornn.
also works for the set.
Ornn gets stunned. Will he be unstunned in time to... Oh, perfect ulti by the set to pull him out of his own ulti. But Vesuvius is here for the backup again.
And they just walked
both the Rev champs brought so low.
And there's Pandorum.
Yep. Pandorum might not even be needed to finish this off. But he will get the kill. Lose Skarl for it, but I think he'll call that worth. And now Rev is down to that. Vesuvius drops the stopwatch. Probably a fat finger. Yep. Rev is down that 3k gold deficit, which is the case where they were in all 3 games so far. They did get some big fights in game 2 to come back when they were in this spot, this kind of 3.5k gold down. But you don't want to rely on that. So they are definitely in a bad spot here. Especially because you don't have an ASOL to rely on the scaling from.
That is here. There.
Yeah, nor does not really the scaler that they are. Whereas Kled, on the other hand, is a snowballer. Kled is very hard to deal with once he gets ahead.
And he's very far ahead right now.
Very much.
And this is what we talked about too, where this is more of the identity, right? You're able to move around the map. Like generally, if somebody's going in one lane, somebody else is on the way. They're not going in 2v2. They're going in 3v2 or 2v1. They're not ever going in 1v1.
Yeah, that's been the difference in a lot of these fights, is Rev thinks they have a 3v3, oh, we can fight this, we get a good ultimate, but it's not a 3v3, it's a 4v3.
Yep. And it's a thing too.
Rex walking up again, he's looking on Denobi. Yep. Oh, Denobi's going to be in trouble here.
And here comes
but knockback the other direction. Also, takeover actually helps here, though, but it's not going to matter if Vesuvius can just jump onto Denobi and delete him, and now Rev's got no damage, they got to run. Wales has got to run.
Yep.
And that little piggy will run fast enough to get home, but without his ADC with him. And I don't know if Rev just didn't see Rex walking up into that bush, or
I just think
was just
having
disrespectful.
watched as much of Rev as I have and having talked with them as much as I have, I think they just feel really, really pressured to make something happen. And they're making bad decisions as a result of trying to make something happen. They understand the importance of this game. They want to succeed. But what has ended up happening as a result of that is that you've dug yourself a much deeper hole than if you didn't do these things.
This is true. And so now TD are going to get their second tower of the game, and that's just going to open up a lot of map pressure for them again. It's going to open up this Herald, and they're just really looking to use this lead to snowball now. So this Herald, I assume, will go, I don't know, probably mid, because that's the last tier 1 tower up. So if you're Rev, what is your theoretical recourse? Because you can't rely on scaling. You got to find a fight somewhere, just maybe if TD splits up.
The thing is you need items. Like, we have to wait until at least another item on Caitlyn. That's basically my thought, is you have to wait until your Caitlyn gets their second item.
I think Rev is looking at this dragon. They're going to potentially go for the fight here. They've got some good vision control, although I think TD has the Scuttle Crab. J-Ren just going to farm up some extra minions. Rev is not as far behind in some ways as they were in previous games because they've been keeping up in CS this time, which was not always the case before. But again, you've only got one more level before Orange starts upgrading things. And that's when things get really scary scaling-wise. Yeah, Pandorum is just, he's hit that snowball point. Dean is in a dangerous spot. Gets a nice hostile takeover, but it's not going to matter if they just sustain through it and then go jump on him and kill him. As we went through here, Rex gets the kill. Genobi is feared up by Vesuvius and likely will be killed by Pandorum here. And this is looking pretty doomed. Whales knocked up, J-Ren firing away, and Rev just cannot, they can't get anything here. Lurka is in his ultimate with somebody, I think it's Rex, but he's going to survive long enough to get out. He's just too far behind right now.
Yeah.
That's going to be 3 towers for TD.
I don't know how you get back into this, because every situation and every like window you've had to kind of slow down and let yourself get your items and let yourself like regain, take a breather, you've tried to make something happen, or you've tried to contest, and you've just fallen further behind.
I think you want to try to look at a solo laner alone and then get a big group collapse on him like they did the Alawi. I think that's your best hope, is look at the Ornn and just send 3 or 4 at the Ornn and just get a kill on somebody. And it's not even about the goal at that point. It's about both teams' mental. It's about believing that you can make a play. It's about the other team still believing that you can make plays. So I think you just gotta wait for the Ornn to get up, or if the Fled is somewhere in a side lane, and just send 3 or 4 at him.
I think that's a viable option. I think one of the differences that between this game and all the others is there really isn't a lot of damage anywhere. There's no real damage threat on RPM right now.
Absolutely. There's no Fed Azir. There's no
Fed Caitlyn. There is no Fed Ace. So you don't have any real damage threat. So even if you do pick, what are you going to kill with?
I think you just got to get everybody there and hope for the best.
Yep.
And TD is posturing around this Baron, setting up for a potential take or turn. And Rev just has to retreat. Dean is going to take out that ward. Looks like that will be safe. TD drops the Herald. Okay, that tower gold could be nice on the Mordekaiser. He has TP to get up here.
Really well. This entire series is such a hallmark of their entire
Wales is not even heading this direction.
Definitely.
So
you don't contest this. You can't win the
Yeah.
fight.
I mean, you maybe go for a smite steal.
I don't even think it's worth it.
I think that's all you can go for, but it's a moot point now. And now they're going for Spinsmat, who's going for this tower. I think you just stay and try to take the tower. Oh, he's one auto attack left. That feels so bad. That feels so bad.
TD has done an amazing job of demonstrating the importance of early game.
Absolutely.
And that they are one of the teams. They do play scaling, and they play scaling very well, right? They do play early game incredibly well. Like their movements and their lane phase across pretty much all the TD teams has been really, really good.
Yeah, this just it's a consistent pattern you see in these TD teams. They are extremely well coached. They know what they want to do, and they play to their team's win con.
Yep.
It's just really impressive showing from the org every time they go out there. It's why their teams win all the leagues they enter.
Given that Syndicate lost against Syndicate tonight, we'll see.
I assume from context you mean that CB Syndicate beat TD Syndicate?
Correct.
Yeah, TD Syndicate's lost a lot of their best players to Gold Leagues this year, so bit of a rebuilding year for them. And I guess TD Dusk had been a little, this team we're watching here, had been a little underwhelming at times early on in the year, but they seem to really be rounding into form now.
This is the time when
as they take out.
Earlier in the season, it doesn't matter. One thing that I do like about the BOL format, very well played from Pandorum right there. Very well played.
Absolutely. Now, he does get caught with the Sejuani ulti and the...
Where is Vesuvius?
But they're going to be
dangerous. Fine. This is really dangerous.
Red doesn't see him. Red doesn't see him. Here comes a fear. Here comes a fear. Or not, but actually Lurka manages to catch it this time. Good job by the Mordekaiser. And now they might actually get a... Oh, Vesuvius flashes over the wall. Ooh, 4-man knockout by the Ornn. Spinspat does his best to jump into the back, but TD is just too far ahead. They're slapping around with wallet difference. Denobi running for his life will be taken out by the Ornn. Pandorum is dominating 606 on the Fled.
That's the window you look at if you didn't make those mistakes, right? Like if you didn't get yourself further behind to this level, trying to dig yourself out of the hole, you wait for this kind of moment. Because this, especially in IBS, this kind of moment is always going to present itself for the most part. You just need to wait for it. And you need to be okay with that. Yeah, you're going to lose. Yeah, you're going to fall behind, but you've accelerated your demise.
Lurka's in a potentially good spot now. He gets a shutdown, but only one. And now Dean is going to go down to J-Red as well.
Absolute work. Rex is the player of the series.
I agree.
Rex has done such a...
Pandorum will be shut down, so TD won't end just yet, but it's still a whole Mount Targan of a mountain. Yeah. Rev is potentially looking at this dragon here to stop a soul, but I think it may be too late.
But you don't at the same time. Like this is not great.
Spinsmat has TP, but he's just gonna recall, I think. Yeah. Nice little bit of poke. And Vesuvius does get the smite before being grabbed by Spinsmat, but huge ulti again by Vesuvius, and that should be it. And so this loss will likely knock RPM out of playoffs and so the final playoff spot battle. Oh, is Dean going to be knocked up by King Vivi, taken out by J-Rind, who is now up to 6-0-14 on this Sivir. Sivir just an absolutely disgusting ADC champion, and Lurka gonna do his best to try to stall the end, but not too much he can do. GGs are going down in the all chat, and Lurka will survive until the Nexus explodes, save one death off his KDA, but that's gonna be it for this series.
Congratulations to TD Dusk.
Yeah, so So TD Dusk officially takes this series and likely. I don't think it locks up a playoff spot for them. They still have to battle with Glacial
It did.
and Snack Bears,
It's.
depending on other
I.
results.
But I do believe that kind of eliminates RPM.
It does. It does eliminate Rev. It does eliminate Rev. Let me see what other results we have in BOL.
Tectonic
We've
won.
got looks like Clowns, Sweat, Sunset Ravens. Sunset Ravens are kind of in free fall right now, and they were in a bad spot tonight. They had some members going through, I think, weather storms, losing power at home. They had to play with some e subs, but they had been kind of taking some losses ever since beating RPM a couple weeks ago. Yeah, CB Syndicate does beat TD Syndicate 2-0. Tectonic 2-0s SG Neutron. Those are all the results we have so far. Of course, TD Dusk 2-1ing RPM.
Yep.
So any remaining series that haven't been played yet are going to be 3-game series. So still have to wait to hear on Glacial, but I think this does officially knock Rev out. So
I think so. All in all, it's been like a good season. I think that
it has been. It's been a lot
there's
of tough
just been
competition
like
here.
some, we'll call it systemic issues that have contributed to a lot.
Yeah, and even so, uh, it's been a very competitive division, and a lot of this just who makes playoff, who doesn't, comes down to just one or two plays and one or two fights early on,
Yep.
and even just a few misclicks are the difference here or there. So Rev has been very, very close in a lot of these games, and in the Snack Bear series, for example, Rev was this close. That was one of the ones I was subbing into, knocking off the then undefeated Snack Bears, and had we finished that, that might have secured a playoff spot for us. But I think that's been kind of the story so far. Is so many of these just so close games and moments.
Yeah.
But unless do you have anything else to say about this game?
No.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it for us then. I'd like to thank so much to everybody in chat for showing up and watching.
It has been
And that's yours is a blast to cast. Always good to have a full 3 gamer. And I'll see you guys next week.